Hello beautiful and welcome back to my channel and welcome to this video that's going to be very exciting. I have been thinking about this video for some weeks now, trying to figure things out in my head, ranking stuff in my head, just being very excited about filming this. I did a video a little while ago being basically like my best products of 2022, best and worst to be honest, the best and worst products of 2022 so far. Basically doing a little bit of a roundup, and I thought, why don't I do that with palettes as well? Because I didn't have a single palette in the best of products because there have been so many other really good products that I keep reaching for again and again and again. So I thought, why don't I do a video showing you just the best palettes of 2022? So that's what we're gonna do now. And if you're interested in that, and if you haven't been there before, you should definitely subscribe because I review a lot of makeup here on my channel, a lot of colorful things, a lot of indie things. So if you want to see some things that you might not see on every other channel, please do subscribe because I upload several videos every week. And I did film this look for Instagram, TikTok, and if you're following me there, all the info is in the description box, and every info that I can about the palettes that I'm going to be talking about today is going to be in the description box together with what I'm wearing on my face today. And if it's up on Instagram or TikTok or wherever I'm posting it, I will leave a link to the tutorial as well. I'm using one of the palettes that I'm going to be talking about in a bit. All of these palettes, except one, is still available, and I do think that the other one is going to be restocked. I would be surprised if it wasn't restocked, but I couldn't find it in stock as I was filming this. But all of these other palettes, they're still available, and I didn't pick them based on availability. I just noticed when I was doing my research that these are actually all available. I'm super excited to be showing you these. In the description box, I will link all these palettes. If I have any codes, I will put the code if you are interested in any of these, and I will also put corresponding videos down below of all of these palettes because I have featured these palettes on one of my platforms in one way or another. If you want to see looks, if you want to see some inspiration or swatches, that is going to be down below in the description box. Let's jump in. I want to quickly mention the palette that I actually have on my eyes. I mean, obviously, I think that this is one of the best palettes of this year. I am very biased though because this is my collab palette with Odenzai. Odenzai is a Swedish indie brand. I'm Swedish. This is my second language. Det är många som frågar mig om jag kan svenska. Jag är absolut svensk. Svenska är mitt första språk. But yeah, this collaboration of course is very dear to my heart because it's me. I did this. This is my palette. I did this. I'm so proud of this palette. There are still a couple left. This is the last restock. When it's gone, it's gone. It's not coming back anymore. I will link it down below. Mine is very worn. I will try and see if I can pop up some B-roll where I'm talking about these palettes where you can see them a bit up close. This one I do know that I have an untouched here. So what? This is not the photography baby. This one is not photogenique. I do have a more photogenique copy that I can show you. But I mean, obviously, I love this palette. I love Odenzai. I think they make amazing quality. This is not the only Odenzai palette that I'm going to mention in this video. And that's obviously why it was so easy for me to say yes when they asked me if I wanted to work with them. Because I love this brand, I love the formula, and I love that they gave me basically just free reins. They're like, what do you want to do? Whatever you want to do, you're in charge. What do you want to do? And I created this warm greeny yellow color scheme with a pop of some sooty colors down here, a multi-chrome, and some pinks. I love pink and green together, and I also think that you can use, of course, these shadows to make monochromatic looks. Of course, I love this palette. I made it. Why wouldn't I love it? So obviously, I think that this is one of the best palettes of this year. But I'm a little biased. And I'm a little biased when it comes to this palette as well. This is the Adept Cosmetics and Heather Austin palette. I've had the absolute pleasure of seeing this palette come together. I've seen samples coming from the lab. I saw this when me and Heather, Heather is my friend, one of my best friends to talk every day. I just talked to her 2 seconds ago before I put the camera on. We went to Cancun together and she brought me her sample palette and I was able to use it there. This is a beautiful palette. This is the first time I'm trying Adept, and honestly, the quality is really stunning. I do have a video on this one. Like I said, I will link everything down below if you want to see some swatches. But again, I'm very biased. This is one of my closest friends. So these two palettes, see them as a little bit of a bonus. I still think they're good. Listen, if one of my best friends did a palette and I thought it was crap, I just ghosted. I pretend it didn't exist. I pretend it didn't exist and you wouldn't hear me talk about it. So if you ever see that, you know what's up. Let's talk about the other Odenzai palette then, because this is the palette that they released after my palette, and there's actually one shade in this palette that they sent to me because I recognize it. They sent it to me and they're like, oh, we know you weren't contemplating this color in your palette, but we have made this shade if this is something that you want to add. And I told them this is an incredible shadow. It's not part of the color story that I want to do, but It's absolutely incredible. Please put it in your next palette. And they actually did. Not because I said it, of course. And I'm so happy that that shadow had a place in this palette because, I mean, the packaging, the color story. This palette is called Solmåne. This is the Solmåne 2 palette. Solmåne means sun moon. Again, this is a Swedish indie brand. My palette is based on the goddess of death, Hela, which is like, you know, the circle of life and death. So I wanted to capture like the light and the dark in the palette, and this is just a little bit more inspired by stars and the sun and the moon. This is Mercury, Neptune, deep space, galaxy, starry sky, solar. There's a lot of really fun things. I think this is my favorite color. It's like this beautiful yellowy orange. This palette is stunning. The quality is amazing, and I'm so happy that I have this one. As I'm filming this is out of stock, but they are restocking it. I'll put the restock date down below because they have announced a restock date. And this one I do have a code with. You can go use the code Angelica and you can get 10% off at Odenzai. Doesn't work on my palette, but it works on all the other things on their website. This was a palette that I didn't think that I was gonna love it, but I really do love it. Not only do I love the theming, because this is the Colourpop and Star Wars palette, but I really like this palette. I think it's really good. I like the red and the blue and the neutrals. This is how I want a neutral palette to be. I want it to be a mix of warm and cool, light and dark, different textures, and a couple of pops of colors. There are enough pops so that if I want to do an all colorful look, I can. You have a matte red and a shimmery red, a matte blue and a shimmery blue. So if you want to do an all blue or an all red look, which is basically what I did in my video on this, I had 2 looks with this, I will link it down below, you can. Because I think that this has like just some versatility. There's also, I think, 3 super shock shadows in here, and this one is just like a blue purpley topper shade. I think this palette is really good quality. I'm so happy I have this one. I was definitely gonna buy this one. I am a big Star Wars fan, but this was actually sent to me as PR. This is the last PR I've gotten from Colourpop, and I don't think I am on the PR list anymore, but I still think that this is a truly wonderful palette, and this is the one that I couldn't find on Colourpop's site as I was doing this research, but I would be very surprised if they didn't restock it, because it sold out pretty quickly, people were really excited about it, and it is a really good palette. So if I see this back in stock, I will let you know in the community tab and maybe on Instagram as well, because I think this is a really good palette. Another palette that was released that honestly, I really like this one. I think this is such a fun palette, and this is in the Limelight palette. This one I bought myself. Let me think. So far, all of the palettes have been sent to me in PR. This one I bought myself. I think this is so beautiful. I've actually created quite a few looks with this one, and I really like it. It goes from dark to light. It has a mix of these like earthy khaki browns together with these lime brights, and I really like this one. And this one is such a like pigmented and like opaque metallic, so you can really get some contrast in there. I really like this palette. I think it's a really nice palette, and I also think that it has like 2 neutrals. Maybe this is a neutral too. It has a little bit of a greeny sheen to it. I don't know. I think this is a really good palette, and I feel like this is a, because I mean, we're all a little bit sick and tired of the monochromatic theme, but I think that this is a monochromatic palette done right, because it has variation, it has depth, and it somehow makes sense. Like, you can make a look with this, and you can make 2 looks with it that are totally different, which I also think is something good when it comes to monochromatic palette, because sometimes with monochromatic palettes, whatever you do, they're all the same. But this is not that. Okay, let's talk about the Lethal Cosmetics Night Flower palette. This is my favorite Lethal Cosmetics palette, because honestly, the way that it goes so deep, both in this like grayy blue, this is like I would call this a thundercloud blue. It's like so grayish blue that it's like, you look at it really closely, you can see the blue undertone, but it is a dark gray, and it's really dark plum here. And then you can take it a little bit more warm with this orchidy pinky purple, and it has a couple of cool tones, and there are some really spectacular metallics in here. This one being a multichrome, I think this one is a multichrome too. They're not that like, how would I describe it? It is a multichrome. When you swatch it, you will see that it's definitely shifting in different tones, but it's not as full on bam as like a Cleonad or a Terra Moon would be, but it is definitely visible, and I think that these colors together, they're just so pretty. I adore this palette. Like I said, I think this is my favorite Lethal Cosmetics palette, and per usual, all the shadows, you can pop them out, you can rearrange them. If you buy this one and you're like, I wish this one had a lime green, listen, you can pop it out, you can put in their lime green, which is also good. This is just me realizing that if I pop this one out and put in a lime green, I might do that. Really nice palette though. I really, really enjoy it. I feel like this might be my biggest surprise. Let me put this to the side. That I enjoyed the Beautybay palettes so much. These are the palettes that came out, I want to say like February. I want to say February. Is that true? I don't know. But these are not limited. For once, Beautybay is releasing palettes that are part of their permanent range. And these are, they had 9 pan, 16 pan, and 42 pan. I do know that the berry one did not have the 42 option. I got the 16 pan. This is the midnight one. It is a purple and blue with a pop of black and silver. These are not monochromatic palettes, at least this one, because it is purple and blue. It's not monochromatic. And the way that I have loved the looks that I've done with these, I feel like they have improved their formula a little bit. Maybe that's how I feel, because somehow I felt like these were easier to work with, or maybe I just know how to work with them. Because now when I know what I'm getting myself into, like if I want this color, I start with this color and then I blend the edges, and the looks have just been so nice. Where am I putting these palettes? Like I'm all over the place. And this is the earthy one. I think the blue is my favorite, but I really love blue eyeshadow. The way that this is a monochromatic palette, it has two more bronzy shades down here, but the way that it's cool, warm, light, dark, the way that this has range. Again, this is a monochromatic palette that you definitely can do 3 different looks that are totally different. And I really, really like that with this one. And then we have the berries one. I think this is my least favorite, but at the same time, I love berry eyeshadow. I love pink eyeshadow. I love red eyeshadow. I just think that this doesn't have as much variety as the other ones. But on the other hand, I loved the look I did. So in a way, I still love this as much as the other one. It just doesn't have as much variety as the other two has. But I think these are really nice. Like I will link them down below. They're definitely worth it. And I mean, they're not even expensive. They're not even expensive. I just think they're really good. Let's also talk about my favorite Glam Light palette. Glam Light released this Kellogg's Frosted Flake palette. I don't eat cereal, but I will say, 2 of my favorite shades when it comes to eyeshadows, orange and blue, in a palette. And this is the great Glam Light formula. I think all of this was so pretty. I loved the looks I did. And I just really like this color story. I think this is super pretty. This is my favorite Glam Light palette so far. I think this is really good. And this is making me so excited to see what's coming next. Because I've seen that they have been hinting that they're shooting some pictures for an upcoming campaign. And I'm like, I am ready. I'm so ready. And I just think that this palette is a killer, and I know a bunch of you actually got this one as well, and I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am, because I think that this is so pretty. And yeah, definitely one of the best palettes that have been released this year. This is my newest palette in this bunch. This is my newest palette in this bunch, and I've only used it 3 times, but I can already tell this quality. This is the Serenity palette by Cosmic Brushes. Basically, her website broke when this one was released because people were so excited. And as I'm filming this, she hasn't announced a release date yet, but she says it's coming soon. If I have a release date, or if it is being released before this video is going up, I will of course share it on my community tab or in my Instagram. And if I have a release date as I'm posting this video, I will put in the description box. So do check the description box. I do have, let me think, have I been forgetting? I do have a code with Glam Light, and I do have a code with Cosmic Brushes. Both the code on both these places are Angelica. That is my code on most places. There are only 2 places that it's not Angelica. If you're shopping in an indie brand, try out Angelica. You might get a discount. I really like this one. I think this is so beautiful. I just had the best luck with this palette. I think it's stunning, and they really went and did something with this palette, and I feel like so many more people are going to be looking at Cosmic Brushes in the future. And this palette, I didn't think it was going to be bad. I didn't think the quality was going to be this good. And this is this my favorite? I'm gonna have to think about this. I don't know if it's It could be. Again, I told you, I love berries. And this is a palette, like, you could go different directions because there is a brown here, but I really love berries. And I love that this one has a couple of more smoky tones. You can go a little bit of a different direction if you want to. But I really love Unearthly Cosmetics. And I really love this, I think it's called Sleepover. Yeah, the Sleepover palette. Color scheme wise, do I love this color scheme more than I love that new palette that just released? But I've only used that palette 2 times. I haven't used it since, so I can't really tell you like, is that my favorite palette, because I've only used it twice and I don't want to be the person that's like, this is one of the best palettes of the year, and I'm like barely looked at it. But maybe I like that color story even more. But what I like about this one is that it's extremely dark and extremely light. And this one is a golden and there is a brown, so you could go in a totally different direction. Even though you look at this and you're like, oh, so it's a pink palette. If you use these 2 shades with this one, that's a neutral look. And I kind of like this about this. And I've used both this one and this one on my cheeks. Stunning blush highlighter hybrids. Absolutely beautiful. 10 out of 10 recommend if you have this palette to use that as a blush. Now we're getting into 2 more neutral palettes. I don't mind neutrals, but I like neutrals with a twist. Neutrals where I can take them in a colorful direction if I want to. And is this my favorite Sigma palette, or do I still love the Untamed more? I'm not 100% sure. This is the new Mod palette by Sigma. This one was released recently. This one has some really nice berry reddish tones in there, and it also has this duochrome, which is a periwinkle going to a purple, which is really, really pretty. Again, it goes from really light to really dark. You have this almost like dark cocoa brown over here. I just think that this palette has range. Again, you want to go reddish, you can. You want to go more pinky soft or mauve or all brown or just gold, you can. It has range. You can go soft and neutral. You can go dramatic and like reddish berry. And I like that. And I really like the Sigma quality. And I kind of like this packaging. I know it's not for everyone, but I'm kind of a fan. This is the first palette that I've tried in 2022. And I honestly think that this is such a good neutral palette. This is a little bigger than I usually go for. That's what she said. Nobody said that. This is a little bigger than I usually go for. And I kind of wish that Nomad Cosmetics, I think she has made some hints about that she will try and make some smaller palettes in the future as well. But this is a neutral palette with a twist again. Because you can go neutral, but there's also like orange, olives, berries, and this entire row that is like a very dark brown, a blackened like purple, there's a blackened olive, there is this blackened burgundy, and then you have these really beautiful shimmers up here that are lighter, this iridescent pink and then iridescent gold, and then you have these darker smoky ones. These are just so pretty. Again, I do hope that we will see I love the concept of a light, a medium, and a dark, and then shimmers. I do love that, but I also hope that we are able to see other things in the future. But I will say, if you're looking for that one neutral palette or a neutral palette with a twist, I don't think you'd be disappointed with this one. It's absolutely stunning. I also have a code with them and Sigma. This is a really nice palette. I've said this when I reviewed this palette. This is the Art Nouveau palette by Love Beauty. This is an indie brand based out of Texas, based out of Austin, where I live actually. And this is inspired by shattered glass. You know, the shattered glass that you see in really big and nice churches. It's just such a cool palette. And I think if you only want one rainbow palette, maybe you're the kind of person that doesn't have a rainbow palette, or you're the kind of person that loves neutrals, but you kind of want to have a rainbow palette just to pull in if you want to have a look that goes a little orange or green or blue, but you don't want to get like an all blue palette. I think this would be a perfect that one rainbow palette, because this one, not only is it good quality and it's also an indie brand, it's also a really good range, because there is a matte blue, a shimmer blue, a matte green, a shimmer green, then there is this olivey bronzy shade that's really beautiful, there is a matte, and then you have corresponding like shimmers and this white shimmer that is amazing, 2 neutrals and a matte black. I just feel like there's a lot of range in here. You can go monochromatic, you can go full on rainbow. If you like yellow, you have one that is like, it's not a yellow metallic, but there's an orange metallic, and then there's like yellowy, or these like metallics, so pretty. Again, I do have a reel using this one, and I'm also using this palette in one of my member exclusive tutorials. I do have a membership here on YouTube. If you want to see more looks from me, if you want to see more tutorials from me, I do have a membership. The button is next to my subscription button, and there's also a link in the description box in case you want to see that one, in case you want to see more tutorials, and I'm using this palette in one of them. And it's just a really, really pretty palette. And like I said, if you want to get a rainbow palette, I don't think you'd be disappointed with this one. Okay, one more palette. This is the last palette. And as I'm filming this, I have not seen the new Nomad Cosmetics palette. But this... Is this my favorite Nomad? Yeah, this is my favorite Nomad Cosmetics palette. And this is the Whistler Lodge palette. I think this is so pretty. This is so pretty. There's greens and blues. And look at this blue here. Look at that. And also this. This is a light blue metallic with like a periwinkle lilac duochrome. You can go a little neutral if you want. There is this pale champagne. And there's also this like inner corner or topper shade with a like a fuchsia pink shift. Matte red, matte black. This dark blue is so nice. It's just a very versatile palette, and it's like a little muted, and it's like pigmented and bright, but also it's like a little, almost mixed with a little gray or something to just make it a little muted, and it's just really, really pretty. Really like this palette. I will link the video down below where I'm using this. These three metallics, absolutely stunning. I remember when I filmed this, because this is also one of the first palettes that I've tried this year. I remember that my settings on my camera and my lighting wasn't ideal, so if you do end up watching that video to see some swatches, don't judge my lighting, okay? I hadn't really figured it out at that point. Anyways, let me know what's your favorite palette so far this year. Maybe I missed something. Did I miss something? Please let me know. Do you agree with my picks? Is there any of these that are on your wish list? There's some info, like I said, in the description box. If you want to use some codes and save some money, let me know in the comments. Listen, did I miss something? Did I miss your favorite palette of this year? I'm not above buying old palettes if it's like something that's really hyped or something that's really good. I hope you're having an amazing day. Do not forget to subscribe before you leave, and I will see you very soon, probably tomorrow, for a new video. Bye!